Okay, welcome back everyone. So today I'm finally releasing my Thai jail Wrapped for 2025. I really wanted to do this in a live, but yeah, my last live attempt was not great. I couldn't get my mic to work for some reason, and I am not technologically gifted, so I couldn't figure it out. And yeah, I mean, a live isn't gonna happen until I figure that out. I don't know how I'm gonna figure it out because I have no idea what I'm doing. But alas, here we are. I'm going to do this in video form, unfortunately. I think a live would have been much better, but we are pivoting. So yes, as most of you know, 2025 has been my introduction to GLs in general. I watched a lot of GLs, including shows that premiered 2-3 years ago. But for the GL Wrapped for this year, I'm only going to be including series that premiered this year. So there's quite a few shows that I can't add into the mix of when I thought of my favorite directing, my favorite performances, my favorite shows, and all of that, unfortunately. I don't know if much would have changed even if I did include all of those, because there were so many good shows this year. But anyway, I didn't look at them, so I couldn't tell you if anything would have changed. So yeah, only shows that premiered this year will be included in my Wrapped. So yeah, let's get into the categories. It's not a lot. I only did a few, because I didn't want to go on and on and on with a bunch of random categories. So these are the few categories that I made for myself. So top 5 GLs of 2025. Top 5 lead performers of the year. Top 5 supporting performers of the year. Best directing, best score, best cinematography, best costume design, best editing, best screenwriting, and best ensemble. So yes, those were the categories that I chose for my GL Wrapped, Thai GL Wrapped, because I'm only going to be including Thai shows. And yeah, let's get into it. So the first category, top 5 GLs of 2025. I'll start with number 5. In number 5 is, and also let me before I know I need to say this. Okay. This is my own opinion. Everything that I'm gonna mention, if your favorite GL is not in my top 5, doesn't mean I didn't like it. It doesn't mean that I didn't think it was good. It's just that these are my personal preferences. And it doesn't mean that anything else was bad. It's just not in my top 5 or top 3. So yes, I just had to preface with that because I know some people are gonna give me shit for the things that I chose or the performances and all of that. But again, this is my own opinion. It's my own choices. And yeah, okay, so let's get into it. In number 5 for top 5 GLs of 2025 is Us the series. I think I really got lucky now having seen so many GLs. I'd have to count exactly how many GLs I watched this year. I didn't count them. I just looked in the list and it was quite a few. But I was lucky enough that Pluto and Us was one of the first 2 GLs I watched. And I kind of set the bar pretty high there for myself because then the things that I watched after that were woof, they were rough. But Us Us was a standout to me. I remember really being taken with the writing, the cinematography, the acting, especially from Emmy. I remember it was I think episode 1, the last few minutes, Emmy right after she has that conversation with Bonnie, the way her face changed in a split second and then the mood got so somber. I still remember that scene. So that's how impactful that scene was to me and how good Emmy's acting was there. So yeah, I think Us was just in general good writing, a complete story, good storytelling, great character development, but it felt like a complete story. And I think something that I've discovered while watching Jails this year is that a lot of times these series will unfortunately let's say they have 8 episodes, they'll have 7 episodes of a build-up, and also when it comes to parents, like you'll have terrible parents, and then in the last episode, within one scene, the terrible parent is redeemed. And a lot of shows did that. But also, it just felt like a lot of these series were rushed towards the end. So the last episode felt rushed because a lot of them left a lot of conflict to the last episode. And the last episode is usually, what, 45, 50 minutes? And so if you have so much conflict still left, it really leaves little time to conclude with a story in a nice way, in a way that I feel satisfied. But I think Us was a really nice example of a complete story. I didn't feel dissatisfied with the ending. I didn't think it was rushed. Yeah, I think it was overall a really nice story, and I also really liked the score. Coming in at number 4 of my top 5 GLs of 2025 is, I think this one will surprise some people, is Claire Bell. I think Claire Bell, also an example of a really complete story, very good writing, very nice directing, very nice acting. But it felt complete. Also another story that I didn't feel dissatisfied with the ending. I think all the characters got what they deserved. I think it was a great example of characters suffering the consequences of their actions, which is a thing that is, it really irks me in a lot of these GLs where characters don't get to deal with their karma. Bad characters get redeemed, and it's a little patronizing to the characters and to the audience to really redeem horrible characters. But I think with this show, it was really a great example of characters suffering the consequences of their actions. And yeah, I think great cinematography. That was a standout to me in the series. But overall, a very nice story, a very complete story with great acting, great writing, and yeah, also considering just the amount of effort that went into making the story. Davika and her husband and the team, they put their money where their mouth is with the show, and yeah, I think it paid off really nicely for them, and I hope to see many more productions that Mind Media produced because it was outstanding. Something I also really appreciated about Claire Bell was the use of an intimacy coordinator. I think I spoke about this in one of the episodes. Yeah, an intimacy coordinator on set, very important in the acting industry. I have mentioned this before. I really dislike it when I hear actors talk about that the director didn't tell them how to do a scene, how they didn't direct a love scene, for example, and they just told the actors to just go for it. I really don't like that. You are you're opening up a way for really bad things to happen. Even if you really trust your acting partner, I still don't like it. Even if you've known this person your entire life, I still think for love scenes, for really, I mean, in Claire Bell, it was the rape scene. They used an intimacy coordinator. For really stressful scenes like that, you need someone to coordinate this. It's just purely for safety reasons, and I really appreciate that that was included. So again, it goes to show that this is really a very serious company. They take the safety of their actors very seriously, and I really appreciate that. So yeah, that is my number 4. Coming in at number 3 is Love Design. I absolutely loved Love Design. One of my favorite episodes ever. I think it was episode 3. Again, just a very complete story. I think that's the theme of my top 5, where these are the things that I appreciate as an actor. I just like a complete story. So storytelling to me is very important. I don't like a series that's just very random. They have one really good episode and then 4 really bad episodes and then 1 good episode. I like a complete story, and I think Love Design really they hit the mark there. And then, of course, Kao and Jane's performances were impeccable. Great writing, great directing, great cinematography. I think someone said that these are the same people that were involved with Us, the series, so that also shows you what type of shows I like, because Us is also included in my top 5. It was also a show that I really felt like I could see these characters fall in love in front of me. And there's a few GLs that have done this, but Love Design is definitely one of the best ones for me. I really could feel and see the characters fall in love. It wasn't their love story didn't happen off screen or where we couldn't see it. It really happened in front of us, and that's what I really appreciated about it. And it's amazing to me the amount of storytelling they were able to capture in 8 episodes. I know that there were 2 extra special episodes, but I don't really count them. I only count the 8 that they really did amazing things in those 8 episodes. I mean, the strong connection that I felt with these characters and their love story, to be able to do that in 8 episodes is really amazing. It's really amazing. And that just I think is a combination of a bunch of things. I think it's good writing, but it's also intelligent acting. Because I think Kao and Jane are very intelligent actors, very intelligent people, and they truly understood the subtext. So they got their text, but when they read that text, they understood what wasn't being said and what was being said without words. You can just tell that these are actors that are in it for the craft of acting. They're not in it for the fame or the fortune or the whatever. They really love acting, and they went to the depths of their characters. I think overall, just a great show with very charming characters, and I loved watching it. So yeah, that's my number 3. Coming in at number 2, my top 5 GLs of 2025 is... This is probably also going to surprise a lot of people. Is Player, the series. And it's going to surprise a lot of people because I know that it's underrated. I don't know if it was because the uncut version was on a paid site on IQ, and so the people that watched it on YouTube only got to see a snippet, because the cut version on YouTube, they cut out a lot of important parts, some of my favorite parts that IQ didn't cut out. So I think if you only watched Player on YouTube, you really missed out, I think, on a great story. But yeah, if you watched my entire Player reaction, you know that I absolutely loved the series from the beginning. I had to put it at number 2 just because of the purely great dramatic writing. Ugh, I still get chills when I think about the dramatic writing. Incredible dramatic writing. And also just purely for Amina's performance, I had to put it in my top 5, and I put it at number 2 because for her performance alone as Ploy, just the humanness of these characters, and I think that's what I loved about Player, is that they didn't write perfect characters. There's no such thing as a perfect character in Player. They're all flawed because we are flawed as people. We all have our faults, we all have our triggers, we all have things that bring out our insecurities, and we all sometimes handle situations not greatly. We make mistakes, and we sometimes treat people horribly because of our own hurt and our own insecurities. And that's what I loved about Play. It was just real people. I don't really know how else to explain it. I think if you watched it and you enjoyed it, you will understand what I mean. But it was just real, and the characters' reactions to the situations were realistic. If you are in love with someone and you know that they are deceiving you, how would you react? And I think that's also the thing, is I always put myself in a character's shoes. And so that's why I had so much sympathy for Ploy's character, because I couldn't imagine being in love with someone. It's starting out as just a little game between you two. You thought that, oh, it's just gonna be nothing. It's just gonna be a little fling. but then feelings start to develop, but you know that they are lying to you. And they're looking you in the eye, lying to you, they're kissing you while lying to you, they're sleeping with you while lying to you, and you don't know what's real and what's not. How would you react? So I think it was great dramatic writing, but also just it was real people, real characters, and very layered and textured. And I love that they weren't perfect. I love that they were flawed, because I think that is what made Player one of my favorite shows that I watched this year. So yeah, Player comes in at number 2. So coming in at number 1, my favorite Thai GL of 2025 is Queendom. Ugh, I just love the show. Honestly, it was such a comfort show, but it was lovely. It was lovely. If there was one series that I was going to rewatch, and I don't rewatch series, it would be Queendom, because it was just simply lovely. Very charming characters, very charming writing. I loved Pam and Awang's portrayal of these characters. Print and Ray were so, oh my gosh, they were so kooky and quirky and interesting, but also it was a fun show, but there was so much depth to it and so much nuance to it. And then of course the performances from Pam and Awang really blew my mind, for such young actors to be able to embody all these characters and all their emotions, and also to keep in mind that you're playing this character in this. That would have confused me. So yeah, I really have to give it up for them. And then also nice directing. Just overall loved it. I loved the grading. I loved the sets and the costumes and the score and the side characters. So just overall, it was the GL that I enjoyed the most. I'm not saying that it's the most perfect one in terms of this or that, because there are other shows that I could probably give the number 1 spot to if I was only looking at technical aspects. But if I had to look back on my enjoyment of a series, I have to give it to Queendom. I think it was just a very charming show. So I enjoyed Queendom very much, and I still remember the last scene, and I was very emotional when that ended, and I think that alone is reason for me to give it the number 1 spot. So yeah, for a few of the categories I gave an honorable mention at the end, and for this category I do have an honorable mention, and my honorable mention for top GLs of 2025 is Runaway. You guys are surprised. I'm also surprised. Imagine if I hadn't watched it. I would have missed out on a great story. But yeah, truly very nice storytelling and very nice acting, very nice directing. Some of the strongest performances from actors that I've seen this year. So yeah, Runaway is a true surprise. If I had a category for most surprising GL, I'd give it to Runaway, because it just came out of nowhere. And I'm glad that people pressured me to watch it, even though I'm not a horror genre fan. I'm glad that I did, because I mean, yes, in essence, it's a horror, and again, nice that we have different types of genres now coming into the GL space. So it's not just romantic comedies or just drama. It's we're venturing out and discovering new genres that we can add to the GL space. So that in itself is a feat and great. But what I also really liked about it is that it's I think for me a very symbolic show about the lesbian experience, and the only people who can identify with this is other lesbians, because it is a truly unique experience. And I joked about it a few times in my Runaway reactions, where I said, oh my gosh, this is such a lesbian story, but it truly is. Just the symbolically the inherently lonely and isolating experience that it is to be a lesbian in society, your community, in your country, wherever you're from. It is a very isolating experience, and so in those terms I really identified with it on that level symbolically, but then also on another level it's how pain and anger and grief changes a person. And it it's either going to make you better or make you worse. It changes you on a molecular level. Pain, grief, anger, anguish. And so I really enjoyed that it was a horror on the surface, but it was something much deeper beneath that. And and so I appreciated that. And then of course, I mean, just the performances were really strong in the show from actors that I was not aware of, that I haven't heard about before I watched the show. And so I think in this regard, I also want to give Runaway kudos the same way I would give Queendom kudos, where I think they probably didn't have a huge budget, but they did a lot with what they were given. And so, yeah, I mean, I'm a huge indie film fan. And so I see these kind of deals as like indie films where really it's up to a select few people to make it great. So yeah, I'm very glad that I watched it because I would have missed out on a lot. So yeah, that was my honorable mention of the top GLs of 2025. Okay, so that brings me to the next category, which is the top 5 actresses of the year. Coming in at number 5 is Jane. Jane from Love Design. She played Rin in Love Design. Yeah, I think, and also through watching a few interviews that Jane and Kao gave together, I can tell that even Kao mentions that Jane brought a lot to the character. I think she really made it her own. Even though it was, again, great writing, because they had a great team of writers, I think Jane brought such a sassiness, a quirkiness, yeah, just a wittiness to the character that I think maybe wasn't written that way, but she brought it herself, and so she made the character of Rin very colorful. And yeah, I truly enjoyed her performances in Love Design. Even her embodiment of the character. I wonder if she's done theater before because she truly captured her character not only in her face and her voice, but truly in her entire body. The shots that we got of her, which weren't a lot, but sometimes they had like a full body shot of Rin, and her quirkiness and her sassiness even translated into her fingers and her knees and her feet. So yeah, I think overall very nice performance from Jane. Coming in at number 4 is Music, who played Wen in Runaway. Do you guys see how much I would have missed out if I didn't watch this damn show? Wow, 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 wow. What a performance. Really, wow. There were so many strong performances for me during this year that it's a pity that she's only number 4, but yeah. Number 4 goes to Music. Great actor. Great use of facial expressions. She is made for the horror genre. Her eyes, the way she can widen her eyes is terrifying to me. I think the scene that stands out to me is that scene where she goes to the hospital and her sister is in the hospital bed and Jomkwan is taking over her body, and there's that look straight into camera and her face there is so, she contorts her face so wildly and it scared the absolute shit out of me. So yeah, I mean, but great performance from her. And I'm going to regurgitate what I've been saying in my Runaway reactions, which is just purely respect for Music as an actor, because just all that awful heavy energy that she had to carry around every day on set for months and months on end while shooting the show must have taken a toll on her mental health, on her physical health, on her spiritual health, her emotional health. I mean, carrying around such, yeah, just heavy energy, this grief and sadness and being petrified every day. It's not good for you. And so I just purely out of respect alone, she probably should have been number one. But yeah, I think she had a great performance and definitely someone I'm gonna look out for. So I really hope we get to see her in something else again this coming year. I don't know if that is possible for this production company, but I hope so. I hope so. Really nice performance from her. Coming in at number 3 is Emmy. Emmy that played Pam in Us the series. One of my favorite actors in the jail space. I was so blessed to see her as one of the first one of the first jails that I ever watched, and so my expectation of the acting throughout the rest of the series that I watched was really high. But yeah, what a great performance from Emmy. Also, another very intelligent actor, great with using her eyes, a great nonverbal communicator, and I think I paused so many times during my Us reactions just to look at her face because she's great. She's great with using her eyes when acting. She portrays sadness, anger, anguish, disappointment, or even when she's in love, she portrays that so well just through using her eyes that, yeah, I really enjoyed it. And like I said, when I mentioned the top 5 jails of the year, the last few minutes in episode 1 of Us, I can still remember it very vividly. I still remember the way her face changed and transformed as soon as Dograk walked away, and that really stands out to me. Very nice performance from her. Number 2 in my top lead performances of the year is, no one's gonna be surprised by this, it's Amina that played Ploy in Player. Yes, Amina. Ugh, my goodness. She almost got the number 1 spot, but there were a few things that I had to consider when going for the number 1. But Amina, wow. She is a true actor. Really a true actor. Also very intelligent, understands text, understands subtext, understands what is needed from her from a scene emotionally, physically, mentally, all of those things. She's probably a great scene partner to have. But also just if I had to take in the journey that Ploy went through in the 12 episodes of Player, she had to play so many different emotions throughout those 12 episodes. I mean, she had to play a very playful character at one point, a very flirty character, a very loving character, but then also had to harness sadness when it comes to the storyline of her and the mom, and then also disappointment and anger and just indifference. And playing indifference is very difficult, but I think she did a wonderful job. I mean, I was just so impressed. All of my favorite scenes from Player is Amina, truly. The way she played the dramatic scenes was outstanding to me. And also, again, an actor that harnesses so much energy in her body, even by just standing still and saying nothing. My eyes were fixated on her. She has such a strong screen presence. And yeah, I was just captivated by her. A really remarkable performance from her, and it's one of the standouts of the year for me. So I can't wait to see her in more things. So yeah, she's my number 2. So yeah, that brings us to my favorite lead actress of the year is Mabel, that played Claire in Claire Bell. I have to give it to Mabel because when I was thinking of who am I going to put as my favorite lead performance, there were a few that came to mind, but I think what Mabel had to do with the Claire character is so, I think it's very difficult to harness all of those different emotions that this character had to go through. And then also the character being in a prison environment. This character went through so many things. And again, when I think of a standout performance, one of the scenes that comes to mind, I mean, there's a lot with her portrayal as Claire. I mean, her taking on Care, right? That stands out to me. Her taking on Dee Dee and Dao. But one of the ones that really stands out to me is what she did with the character when Claire goes to her sister after the sister kills the teacher. And the way this character had to switch up so quickly, internally, freaking out, seeing what has happened, but then having to make that switch so quickly to being a sister and wanting to protect her sister and wanting to help. And then that scene where she takes the blood and just, smears it all over. So I think when I looked at my favorite performance, I had to take into account the difficulty of performing the character. And I think playing Claire must have been really, really difficult. I had to give it to Mabel. I think a great actor. Also a very nice non-verbal communicator. Her face, the way she's able to use her eyes, just her different gazes when she looked at Belle or when she looked at Care or when she looked at Dao or when she looked at the granny, right? It was she had to do many things with this character, and I think it's just a complex character in general. Because it was great writing, so I think she did it justice. So I had to give the number one spot to Mabel. I also included an honorable mention for this category, and it is Perman Arwang as Rain Print. Yeah, I just loved it, and again, like I said when I talked about them, they're so young, and what they've been able to do with these characters is wonderful. And they were so charming and so I just loved watching them. Honestly, the way that their chemistry and the way that they played off of each other was so nice to watch. And I just giggled throughout Queendom because I just loved Pam and Arwang as Rain Print. It was charming and lovely, and I just saw sprinkles and sparkles and all things pink. Just like the show wanted us to feel. I just have a very warm feeling when I think of them as Ray and Print. And then also playing different characters, right? Being Ray, but then being Print, but then being Ray. So they also had to keep so many things in mind when playing these characters. It wasn't an easy feat at all, but I think they did such a good job in portraying these characters. And yeah, just charming characters. Again, this brings me to the next category, which is the top 5 supporting actresses of the year. Coming in at number 5 is Luknam, who played Pock in Some Way Somehow. Yeah, I think without her character, the two main characters would have never gotten together. I think she was a great comedic relief, even though it was a comedy. There were serious moments here and there with the show, but I think overall, Luknam is just a very good actor. And I really hope that they give her her own show sometime, hopefully, because she deserves it. Just a very good comedic actor, and comedy isn't easy to do well. It's very easy to go OTT, over the top with it, where it's almost farcical and it's not funny anymore. But there's a difference. But I think she did a great job in bringing out the comedy of the show and the character, and also just being a nice addition to the two main characters. Coming in at number 4 is Mim, who played Nini in Us the series. Yeah, I remember really enjoying the way she played the character. I mean, I watched Us like almost a year ago, right? I can't remember when I watched Us, but it was early in the year. But yeah, I do remember her being very impressive, especially dealing with the anger and the disappointment that this character had to carry around. throughout the series, really on her vengeance. She was out for blood the entire time. So yeah, this character went through a lot. I mean, the mom and the mom's situation with Dokrak's dad, and just her being out for revenge and having to plot so many different things, and also using Pam. So yeah, this character had to do many things and go through many things, but I think a very nice performance from Mim. Coming in at number 3 in my top 5 supporting actresses of the year is Yam, who played Mind in Love Design. Again, if you watched my Love Design reactions, you won't be surprised by this. I think Yam did a lot with this character, because I don't think this was a character that you really had to feel any type of way about strongly. But I think she played the shit out of this character. She truly brought in a nuance and a subtlety there that was really nice to see, where I couldn't really hate her. I think it was the way that this character looked at Okbab, you just knew that she regrets whatever she did so badly, and it's probably the worst mistake Mind's ever done in her life, and it's something she can't take back. And so this character also suffers the consequences of her actions. Okbab moves on and doesn't look back and doesn't give her another chance to betray her. But I really loved Yam's acting. So nice. Definitely played so much with the subtext. Great nonverbal communicator, great with using her eyes and her face and her body, and I really enjoyed her portrayal of Mind, because again, I don't think that this was a character that was really written to stand out anyway, but she did, just because of her performance. Coming in at number 2 in my top 5 supporting actresses of the year is Noon, who played Dao in Claire Bell. Oh my goodness, what an actress, right? Oof. I mean, Davika really assembled a crew of great actors, great performers. Yeah, I mean, that scene with Dao when her son comes to visit her, that's also still something that I remember vividly, because the way she had to play it, really being completely crushed because her son wants nothing to do with her, but then also trying to be a loving mother, and trying to coax him to talk to her or to show some type of affection, it was really effective, and I still remember it. And then this character had to deal with so many different dynamics. I mean, being in a prison, that is what you expect, right? But she had to deal with the warden, so there was that dynamic going on, and the way that she was with the warden was then different to another dynamic, which was the 3Ds. So Didi and Duan, she had a different dynamic going on with them. And then she also had her posse, right? The people that did her bidding. So she had a different dynamic going on with them. And so she just had a bunch of different relationships that she had to adjust to. And I think, yeah, just a really nice performance from Noon. Also, just you can just see that she's an actor. You know, I don't know how else to describe it. She's an actor. You can give her a piece of text and she will know what to do with it. So yeah, she's a standout performance for me. And then my number 1 supporting actress of the year, also will not surprise anyone, is Kemi Sara, who played Ke in Claire Bell. Oh my god, what an actor. Wow. If she had played the lead in anything, she would have been my top performer of the year, because wow. What an actor. This is an actor. She's an actor. She played the shit out of this character. So much difficulty in portraying this character, and I think that's what makes Claire Bell stand out to me so much, is that it was probably really difficult to play these characters, because you have to do and go through so many things in that type of scenario and that type of situation. Her playing Care, oh my goodness, just great. intelligent actor, great with using her eyes, her facial expressions. She embodies her character so fully. The way that we were even introduced to this character, right, where she jokes with where she jokes with Belle, and telling Belle that her name rhymes with was it jail, Belle and jail, but the way that she said it, it did sound like it rhymed, and then the switch up of that character, and even just with that tidbit, the way that character switches up from going from very serious to then cracking a joke, but then the cracking of the joke didn't really feel sincere. That is all her acting, because you know that there's something up with this character, there's something sus. The way that she has presented herself is probably not the way that she is. There's a lot going on that we don't know about. And I think from episode 3 or 4, I started thinking that she's probably a really dangerous character. She's presenting herself as very accommodating to Belle, very nice, very just a good friend. Doing things for her, starting a business for her, my god. You know, paying for her to go and attend her dad's funeral and all those things. But you just know that there's something off with her. And that is all Kemisara's acting. It's her own work. But so many scenes that I think of when I think of Claire Bell includes her. I mean, of course, the top one is that showdown that she has with Claire there at the end when she poisons Belle, and that entire scene between them was, oh my gosh, riveting, riveting. And then we also have the scene with her in the library where she turns around to Belle and she tells her that she likes her. And then also when she tells her posse to beat Belle up. So many scenes that I can remember include Kemisara because she is a great actor. Just like I mentioned with Noon as well, you can give her a piece of text and she will just know what to do. Probably great at taking direction. You can just suggest something and she will suggest something as well. A great scene partner. I've seen a few snippets of the behind the scenes with Claire Bell, and the way she just is able to quickly snap back into character is, yeah, it's truly outstanding. So she is one of the most outstanding performances I've seen of the year. Very impressed with her. I really do hope we get to see her in more things, because wow. So yeah, I also included an honorable mention for this category of the top supporting actresses of the year, and I included Piano, who played Jom Kwan in Runaway. Yeah, very much like I will say with music, you have to embody just the worst in a person. You have to embody anger, you have to embody resentment, you have to embody grief and frustration and hate and all of these things, and it's not good for you to carry around this type of energy for so long. And then you see snippets of Piano, where they're reacting to stuff, or the few things that I've seen on Twitter, and she is just this delightful ball of sunshine, and it's crazy to me that she was able to play a character like Jom Kwan that is just this very dark presence, very dark energy that she had to embody for hours and hours on end, for months on end, to shoot Jom Kwan. And I think she did a great job. And yeah, another actress that is just made for the horror genre, because she's able to really use her facial expressions and her eyes to convey emotion. Her body, just everything. It was very impressive. Even the few times I've been able to look at Jom Kwan fully because she's so scary looking. Yeah, it was really impressive. And you have to be able to capture a lot of energy in your body to play a character like this. Because there were so many scenes where we just got snippets of her through a mirror or through a reflection, right? but it was just Piano having to stand still as this character. She wasn't able to move, she wasn't able to speak, so she just had to stand still and then take all of that energy that she would use in moving or speaking and just put it into her completely still body, and that is really hard to do. So yeah, really nice performance from her. So the next category is best directing, and I did like a top three because I couldn't just choose one. So my top three are, I'm just gonna mention all of them, otherwise this video is gonna get so long. So in top three, number three is Beam, who directed Queendom. Number two is Jean, who directed Claire Bell. And my number one in directing, I gave to Poi, who directed Player. Poi, I had to give it to Poi because I guess I cheated a little because I watched the snippets of her directing the actors on IQ. So it wasn't something that I really got to see with any of the other shows. There was a few shows where you get to see the behind the scenes and the way the director works with them, but I think Poi is just, I'm very impressed with how she spoke to the actors. She's a director who really understood what she wanted from a scene and how to speak to the actors to for them to give her what she wanted out of a scene. Um, and then also just a bunch of smart choices that she made directing wise. The way she directed the dramatic scenes. I'm just gonna hammer on the dramatic scenes for Play because it was so freaking good. It was so nice, and the way she was able to speak to Amina to get her in that space to play those scenes, I really appreciated that. A scene that also stands out to me is the way that scene where Ploy is speaking into the mirror, and she's speaking as her character, but the character's words also reflect her own life, and so an actual mirror reflecting back at Ploy, but then the text reflecting the emotional state of the character. So like little bits of that just tells me these are smart people that are behind the camera. And then of course Jean that directed Claire Bell. I mean, do I have to say anything else? It's just a great overall show. Of course the director is also going to be brilliant. When I saw the pilot for Claire Bell, I was like, this pilot needs to win awards because that's how good it is. And yeah, the story actual series wasn't any different. Um, the way that they were able to really, mm, I mean, there were so many different characters in this prison, but they all got their own story. It was their own story that was written, but then also the way that the characters were directed was different depending on the type of character that they were. And so yeah, again, just intelligent people involved in this. And then coming in at number three is Beam, who directed Queendom. Yeah, I mean, I say this as a compliment. You could see that this series was directed by a woman. You could see it because it was so, I mean, especially the intimate moments, it was done with so much care, so much love, so much intimacy. You could just tell that this was an environment that felt so safe for these actors to explore, the leads and the supporting actors. You could just tell that it was a safe place, and that leads to actors being free to explore the way that they want because they feel safe and they feel supported, and that's what you want. And it reflected on screen. So the way that Beam was able to capture the essence of Print and Ray and the way that she worked with Awang and Pam is nice and lovely, and I love the way that she spoke about Queendom as well. And I remember there was one interview where she said, what did she say? Long live lesbians or something like that? Or Viva lesbians? I can't remember. But yeah, you can just see from those things that this is a person that really respects the community, and she understands that the responsibility in making a show like Queendom and what it means for a marginalized community that doesn't get much representation, not in Thailand, not in most parts of the world. Doesn't matter where you're from, Sapphic representation is so little that we really just grab and hold on to anything we can when it comes to sapphic representation, but she really took that responsibility seriously. And you can see that it's reflected in the way that she made Queendom. And Queendom was just lovely. So many scenes also that stand out to me when I think back on it, and I watched it so many months ago. But yeah, I really enjoyed the way that she captured Print and Ray, the different personalities, and when they switch, and all of those things. That I think she had a lot to do with why I enjoyed watching Queendom. So yeah. And then also have an honorable mention for this category, and it is Oat, who directed Runaway. um, yeah, I think I've spoken about how much I enjoyed the directing and the camera work especially, that it looked like these people were very familiar with the horror genre, because so many moments that they were able to jump scare me, or just moments where you anticipate seeing something that's going to make you uncomfortable. All of those different things, that's thanks to the director, who really understood the assignment, knew where to place a camera, how to work it, how to turn it, that is going to be the most effective. And I really have to give it to them, especially that coffin scene. That was done so brilliantly. I wonder if there's like a behind the scenes of how they did that. I'm gonna have to go and find it, because I really enjoy the way that they shot that scene especially. But then so many scenes, especially what episode is it? Is it episode 7 or 8? I can't remember. Maybe it's 8. Or maybe it's 7. I don't know. But there's this scene where um which character is it Boone or Win that goes into this room, and I think it was Boone trying to find something, and she moves through a room trying to find something, but then the camera, it's one continuous shot just following this camera, just following this character. And the thing with scenes like that is there's choreography as well, so it's not just like you go search for this and then go here. No, it's like you have to go look for this, whatever it is that this character was looking for, and then you have to probably count, right? Like in your head, maybe 2-3 seconds. Then you have to move to your next spot and then count as well, because it's one continuous shot, so it has to be timed perfectly. And doing scenes like that is really difficult. So I wonder how many takes it took to get that scene right. But yeah, so stuff like that really impressed me. I remember that one scene in the hospital. I think it's right before Win goes and sees her sister, Van. There's a scene where the Win is standing there, we see her, and then this camera turns. And then when the camera comes to a focus point again, there's Jongkwan. So a lot of intelligent directing choices. So I had to give Oat an honorable mention for Runaway. So the next category is best score, and I only have one series for this, because otherwise if I do 3 or 4 or 5 for everything, I guess it doesn't make sense if I say best score and then I give 3 or 5 different options. So for best score, I'm gonna give it to one series, and that is Us the series. I was very fortunate that that was one of the first GLs I ever watched, because it hit the mark on so many different things, and including the score. And I remember this was a series that I talked a lot about the score, and so that's why I had to give it to Us, because there's so many different series that I've watched recently that I can also say the score really enhanced the storytelling. I mean, Claire Bell had a great score. I really also enjoyed Love Design's score. So, but if I had to choose one, it would have to be Us the series. So many great music choices. One that stands out to me is, I can't remember in what episode it is, but there's a conversation that Mem has with Pam, and they're sitting on opposite ends of a table, staring at each other directly across from each other, and there's a music playing over that. And I think Us was a great series that shows us how a score can aid storytelling. Um, so yeah, that scene between Mim and, ugh, not Mim, Nini and Pam really stands out to me. And then there's also that scene that stands out to me in Us, that scene of Kawi in front of the mirror with uh his tie, tightening the tie, the music that played over that. So many scenes where they really, the what I saw matched the music, and the music matched what I saw. So for example, if there's a really intense scene going on, is there's not going to be some frilly music playing over it or some elevator music playing over it. There's something that's going to match the tempo of the scene. So that's kind of what I'm getting at with Us the series, is that the music and the tempo of the music matched the tempo of the text. So when there was loving moments going on, there was appropriate music for that. When there were really intense moments going on, there was intense music for that. Like if there's a really tense moment, there's percussion and all of that. And also the score that played over Pam's scene when she discovers that Dokrak is the one that made the art and it wasn't kawaii like that. So there's a lot of scenes in Us that I can remember the music that accompanied the scene. So that's why I had to give best score to Us the series. Next category is best cinematography, and that goes to, no one's gonna be surprised, Claire Bell. Oh my goodness. And I even for Claire Bell I did my favorite frames of the episode. I did that for Claire Bell and Claire Bell only because oh my goodness, just visually striking this series. Claire Bell. Wow. The visual storytelling was just as important as the text in this series. And I think it's also a series that you can watch without the sound and you'd know what was going on. And that is telling you how good the storytelling is of this series and how great the cinematography is. But yeah, so many frames coming to mind when I think of Claire Bell and cinematography. Like just hundreds and hundreds of images. Um, yeah, I don't think I could have given best cinematography to any other series. There were a lot of series that had great cinematography, but the best, yeah, it has to be Claire Bell. Great visual, striking storytelling. The next category is best costume design, and that goes to Queendom. I really want to know who the costume designer is for Queendom. Again, I'm gonna have to go look on my drama list for all of these, but I just included the series because if I didn't find the person involved, and also I can't be 100% sure if that was the person, so I'd rather just praise the story in general. So whoever the costume designer was for Queendom did a fantastic job. Such a great palette. And also having to dress these characters up, they're Ray and Print, and then they switch bodies, and then you have to switch the clothing that these actors wear. So, but the the way that they were dressed, you just knew who was Ray and who was Print by the way that they were dressed, and that's also good storytelling because a costume is supposed to enhance a story, and a costume helps with for actors with your acting. If you don't look and feel like yourself, it's much easier to get into character. And so yeah, the way that they were able to make these characters individuals, but then still fit into the world of Queendom. Okay, the next category is best editing. So I gave this to two series because I couldn't just choose one, and I gave it to Claire Bell and Player. Because I think both of these series, the editing really enhanced my experience as an audience member watching it. It really helped with the pacing. And I think that's what editing is really there for. It helps with the pacing and the rhythm and how an audience feels emotionally watching these scenes unfold in front of us. And so for Claire Bell, I mean, I think it's just in general the way that they were able to piece together Claire Bell, making it feel very natural going from one scene to another, even though you had so many characters in prison and also outside of prison, it still felt natural going from one scene to another. Emotionally wrecked me, so that's also due to good editing. And then with Play the same, especially again, the dramatic scenes. The way my heart felt so constricted during the dramatic scenes, the dramatic writing, and then also the acting, the editing really helped with how I felt emotionally during those scenes. Because it just enhanced my experience. Because I felt my heart breaking during those ploy and pun scenes. And that is also partly due to the way that it's been pieced together, where you really feel you're with Pun, but then while Pun is speaking, we get to look at Ploy's expression. I mean, Pun is busy really pouring her heart out, trying to get Ploy to just speak to her. I mean, she's very emotional, but then we have the camera on Ploy's face, and she's just indifferent. And so these types of things that the editing worked with, showing us these contradictions and juxtaposing scenes and images, really enhanced my experience in that sense, especially emotionally. I felt very, and I even think I said in a few episodes, especially from episode 7 onwards, I was like, I can identify with this feeling because I've had it before when you're really someone who was so warm towards you. Once they turn cold, it is the worst feeling in the world, and you can't ever get back to how things were. And I think the editing really helped with all of those things, especially emotionally. So yeah, Claire Bell and Player. Okay, so the next category is best screenwriting, and yeah, again, I couldn't choose just one. There's so many, because when I thought of screenwriting, I thought of the scenes that I can still think of when the scenes that stand out to me. When I think of a series, is there any scenes that stand out to me? And there were a few, so I had to include them. So yes, one of my top 3 is Claire Bell, because just great overall script. Um there's so many scenes when I think of Claire Bell now, even though it only ended last week, so it's still fresh. Maybe this is a disadvantage to other shows that I watched more earlier in the year. But if I think of Claire Bell, there's so many scenes that stand out to me. I mean, Claire being thrown into solitary confinement and the guard sticking her hand in right to give her the tray of food and she just grabs it. And then we have that shot of Claire eating the chicken in that very small little gap that door has. And then this last episode with the showdown between Claire and Care. So many scenes. The scenes that we have in the Rose Garden, like when Claire and Belle touched hands for the first time. The scene between Dao and the warden. So many scenes stand out to me in Claire Belle that it's a lot of things combined. Like it's great acting, it's great cinematography and all of those things, but I think essentially a story does come down to good writing, because you can only do so much with bad writing. So if you have good writing, you can do a lot as an actor. So yeah, Claire Bell is in my top 3. Number 2 in my best screenwriting is Player. um yeah, the dramatic writing was outstanding, and just being able to write true and raw and real characters. It's, you'd think that it'd be easy to write characters like that, but it's not. They were so flawed, and the way that they went through their disagreements, ploy and pun, and the fact that the story took time to get to a conclusion for these characters, where it wasn't just they had this tiff and then one episode further, then they're fine with each other again. No, they really took their time in delving into the conflict between Ploy and Pan and taking time to resolve it, which is something I really appreciated about Player. They didn't just, because that's what happens during these GLs. It's like you have so much conflict, and then all of a sudden, you have conflict for 7 episodes, and then all of a sudden, in episode 8, during a 2-minute scene, the conflict is magically resolved, which is patronizing, so patronizing to the characters, but it's patronizing to your audience because we're not stupid. And it's not believable. So the fact that they took their time in delving into the conflict of Ploy and Pan and then also taking time to resolve it was nice. And again, the dramatic writing was so good. And then number 1 in best screenwriting goes to Love Design. Great screenwriting, a full story. And then it's also aided by the fact that you have Kao and Jane who are portraying Rin and Okbab, and yeah, they did such a great job. So many scenes stand out to me in Love Design. It has one of my all-time favorite GL episodes ever, which I think is episode 3. Just, oh my gosh, so many moments. I mean, the way Rin looks at Okbab when she reveals to her that she was the person that found her sketchbook and she was the one that returned it, but that she also went on this journey that Okbab went through in Japan. They went on the same journey even though they didn't know it. And then the whole fated concept with them, where it really felt like these characters were going to meet regardless. Whether it was going to be as lovers or as friends or as just acquaintances, but they were going to meet each other and it was going to be fated, and then whatever happens, happens. And so that really aided my obsession with the story and really getting into the characters and really caring for these characters and caring for the relationship and wanting it to happen and wanting it to work out. It's also a series that if I think about now, there's not... I mean, is there anything I can find fault with? Not really. I think it was such a... They wrote such fleshed out characters that Kao and Jane were able to just run with it. Do as much as they possibly could with these characters. So, yeah, I mean, that's just down to great screenwriting. And then the final category of my Thai Jail Wrapped for 2025 is Best Ensemble. And this goes to... drumroll, Claire Bell. Yeah, I have to give it to Claire Bell, a very strong combination of actors. These people came to work. Every single one of them. Like, if I have to think of all the jails I've watched, Claire Bell probably has the most amount of great actors in one series. So whether you played a main character, so whether you were Mabel or Pangji who played Claire and Bell, whether you were Noon who played Dao, whether you were Kemisaro who played Ke, or whether you were just a background actor, everyone came to work. And yeah, it was a very strong combination of actors. And also just being able to tell a full story with so many different characters is just, it's kind of mind-blowing to me, especially doing it in 8 episodes. I'm still stunned. Like, I'm really stunned. But yeah, my goodness, what an ensemble of actors Davika has just gathered. Everyone brought their A game, and I think it's also a series where you can see that there were serious people involved behind the scenes, and that they know what acting is, they know about actors, they know how to work with actors. They know how to speak to actors and direct them in order to get what they want from a scene. And yeah, everyone showed up for work. Every single... There's not one actor that I can say, oh, they were really not or that they were lacking when they were in a scene with someone else. I think it was a set that really nurtured exploration, and these actors were told that they could go and do what they want with these characters, and if it's too much, we can tone it down a bit. But I think that they felt safe in this environment that was created. And like I mentioned in the beginning of this video, the fact that Davika brought an intimacy coordinator for the sexual assault scene and episode, that says a lot about who was involved in the making of the show. And so the fact that it was the best ensemble isn't a surprise to me, because yeah, just very strong actors, very strong lead actors, but then also very strong supporting actors. So yeah, guys, that brings me to the end of my Thai jail wrapped for 2025. I truly loved getting into the space this year. I loved meeting and interacting with every one of you, my Patreon members and also my YouTube members. Thank you so much for making this an enjoyable experience for me. Someone who's new to this space, I really am so thankful for it. And yeah, I've just enjoyed it. I enjoy making reactions for you guys. I enjoy interacting with you guys. And yeah, you're just a great group of people. I've enjoyed watching these series so much, and when I first started doing these reactions, I didn't think that I'd be so absorbed into the space and into these stories, but I really have been, and there've been some amazing works coming from Thailand, and I'm so excited. If these are the type of shows that we get from Thailand, if this is the quality of shows that we can expect from Thailand, I'm super hyped for this coming year. And this genre, or GLs in general, they're just gonna grow and grow and grow, which I think as a member of the community is so heartwarming to see. I love it. I love that we're getting more representation. I love that the coming generations are getting the representation that a lot of us didn't receive. Some of us still don't receive it from our own countries, which is unfortunate. But yeah, countries like Thailand, you really give me hope for the future. Just how accepting they are of marginalized communities is very heartwarming to see, and I love it. And yeah, thank you so much. Thank you. Just thank you. Thank you for GLs. Honestly, thank you. We, you know, we don't get a lot of representation, and even when we do get representation, and I'm speaking now mostly to Western media, because the way the West treats sapphic stories specifically is atrocious. And even when we do get representation, it always gets taken away from us. Shows get cancelled, shows don't get renewed, shows never get made. And we're always left disappointed. And yeah, I mean, I think if you are a member of the community and you're not watching Thai GLs, damn, you're missing out. So yeah, I'm super hyped for 2026. I think we're gonna expect great new series and just better and better quality. And that's the thing, is the more shows get made, the more production companies know that they have to up the quality. You can't just be, throwing out a bunch of GLs just because now you see that they're popular and they're making money. Or that it's trendy, because LGBTQ people, we're real people. We're not just the trend. We're not just in for a season, right? We're actual people. And so I hope that the popularity of GLs tells these production companies instead that they need to make the quality better. And it's not just about putting out 20 GLs but making them shitty quality. No, we want quality productions. And I think these last few months, so many great GLs have come out, and I hope it ignites a fire under their bums. So we can just expect better and better quality shows. And yeah, I'm excited for 2026. I'm excited to continue this journey with all of you. I hope you stick around. we don't have to wait too long until the next new GLs drop. I think it's about a month and then we have new stuff. But until then, I'm gonna be reacting to a bunch of other things. So yeah, don't go anywhere. So thank you guys. And yeah, that was my Thai GL wrapped for 2025. I'll see you next time.